India's climate is determined mainly by its location, altitude, relief features, and the pressure and wind systems. India is situated approximately between 8° north and 37° north latitude. It falls under the tropical region, which is the belt between the two tropics. Predominantly, the climate of places located in the tropical region is hot and humid. Tropical climate is found mainly in South and Southeast Asia. India's unique physical setting imparts uniformity to its climate. India is flanked by the towering mountains in the north, which block the cold bitter winds blowing from the northern hemisphere. On the remaining three sides, it is surrounded by oceans and seas that exert a moderating influence over the subcontinent. However, due to its diverse topography, a wide range of climatic conditions that vary greatly from region to region and sometimes even from day to night can be experienced. The climate of India is described as the monsoon type. Monsoon refers to the seasonal reversal in the wind direction during the year. The word is derived from the Arabic word mawsim, which literally means season. Let us examine two important elements, temperature and precipitation, to understand the climatic variations in India. Let us look at the variation in temperature experienced in different regions in India. In some parts of the Rajasthan desert, the temperature in summers occasionally touches 50 degrees Celsius. Whereas summer temperature in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir may be around 20 degrees Celsius. During winters, the temperature in Dras in Jammu and Kashmir may fall as low as -45 degrees Celsius. Dras has become famous as the second coldest inhabited place in the world. On the other hand, Thiruvananthapuram may have a winter temperature of 20 degrees Celsius. Certain places experience a wide difference between day and night temperatures. For example, in the Thar Desert, the day temperature may rise to 50 degrees Celsius and drop to nearly 15 degrees Celsius at night. Contrasts in temperature are experienced more in the interior of the country. On the other hand, there is hardly any difference in day and night temperatures in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands or in Kerala. Similarly, the precipitation or rainfall in India varies not only in its form and types, but also in its amount and seasonal distribution. In the upper parts of the Himalayas, precipitation is mostly in the form of snowfall, whereas the remaining parts of the country receive rains. Annually, precipitation varies from over 400 centimeters in Meghalaya to less than 10 centimeters in Ladakh and western Rajasthan. Most parts of the country receive rainfall from June to September. However, some parts, like the Tamil Nadu coast, get most of its rain during October and November. There is a decrease in the rainfall generally from east to west in the northern plains. Climatic variations also affect the way people live. The food they eat, the clothes they wear, and also the kind of houses they live in. Let us now examine how the altitude and relief features influence the climate of India. In India, the elevation of land ranges from 30 meters to 6,000 meters. The Himalayan mountains to the north of India have an average height of about 6,000 meters. The average summer temperature on the Himalayas can vary from 0 degrees Celsius to 14 degrees Celsius. While winters can see the temperature dipping below freezing point with heavy snowfall. India also has a vast coastal area where the maximum elevation is about 30 meters. The Himalayas prevent the cold winds from Central Asia from entering the subcontinent. As a result, the interior parts of the subcontinent experience comparatively milder winters. Another good example is the Western Ghats of Maharashtra that lie between Mumbai and Pune. These affect the precipitation of both these cities. Mumbai lies on the windward side of the Western Ghats and hence gets much higher rainfall as compared to Pune, which lies on the leeward side. Mahabaleshwar, which lies at the peak of the Ghats, receives almost 3 times the rain that Mumbai receives. The rainfall in India is governed mainly by pressure and surface winds, upper air circulation, and western cyclonic disturbances and tropical cyclones. India lies in the region of northeasterly winds. These originate from the subtropical high-pressure belt of the northern hemisphere and blow southwards. Due to the Coriolis force, these winds move on towards the equatorial low-pressure area. Recall that the Coriolis force, also known as Ferrel's law, is an apparent force caused by the Earth's rotation. This force deflects winds towards the right in the northern hemisphere and towards the left in the southern hemisphere. The northeasterly winds are land-bearing winds. Hence, they carry very little moisture. Therefore, they bring little or no rain in India. So, how does India receive its share of rainfall? The pressure and wind conditions over India are unique. During winter, a high-pressure area is created in the north of the Himalayas. As a result, cold winds blowing from this region move to the low-pressure areas over the oceans to the south. In summer, a low-pressure area develops over interior Asia as well as over northwestern India. This causes a complete reversal of the direction of winds during summer. Winds move from the high-pressure area over the southern Indian Ocean, cross the equator and turn right towards the low-pressure areas over the Indian subcontinent. These winds are known as the southwest monsoon winds. As they blow over the warm oceans, they gather moisture and bring widespread rainfall over the mainland of India. The upper air circulation is dominated by a westerly flow. An important component of the flow is the jet stream. Jet streams are a narrow belt of high-altitude westerly winds that blow in the troposphere. Their speed varies from about 110 kilometers per hour in summer to about 184 kilometers per hour in winter. A number of separate jet streams have been identified. The most constant are the mid-latitude and the subtropical jet streams. These jet streams are located approximately over 27° north and 30° north latitude. They originate from the Mediterranean region and are known as subtropical westerly jet streams. Over India, these westerly jet streams blow south of the Himalayas all through the year. In winter, they bring in the western cyclonic disturbances in the north. and northwestern regions of India. The coastal regions of the country are affected by tropical cyclones that are part of the easterly flow. These disturbances occur during the monsoon as well as in October and November. In summer, the subtropical westerly jet streams move north of the Himalayas with the apparent movement of the sun. An easterly jet stream, called the tropical easterly jet stream, blows over peninsular India, approximately over 14° north during the summer months. During the course of a day, we can experience moderate to extreme changes in the atmosphere around us. The day can begin as bright and sunny, but by evening, it can start raining heavily. These day-to-day changes that we experience are referred to as weather. Weather is the state of the atmosphere of a particular area at any point of time. Atmospheric conditions that describe the weather include elements like temperature, precipitation, pressure, wind, and humidity. Though these elements tend to change frequently, if observed over a longer period of time, a pattern can be established. It is noted that during a year, the weather changes in cycles. The cyclic changes in the atmospheric conditions are called seasons. By observing the weather pattern for longer periods, usually over 30 years, the climate of a place can also be determined. Climate describes the long-term pattern of weather that generally prevails over an area. Globally, vast differences can be seen in the climate of different parts of the world. Based on these differences, the world can be divided into a number of climatic regions. Each climatic region has its own characteristic vegetation and wildlife. The climatic conditions also influence the lifestyles of the people living in these regions. There are many different factors that affect climate around the world. These factors are often referred to as controls. The first major control of climate is latitude. Latitude is the measurement of the distance of a location on the Earth from the equator. It is one of the primary factors that affect the temperature of a place. Places located further away from the equator receive less sunlight compared to those located closer to it. The Earth's curved surface is the reason for this variation. The sun's rays fall almost perpendicularly on the equator and obliquely on the poles. Thus, places closer to the equator receive more intense heat and light. The climate of these places is generally warm, sunny, and humid. On the other hand, places closer to the poles receive less direct rays. Hence, they receive less heat and light. These places have a comparatively cooler or moderate climate. The North and South poles receive the least intense rays. The climate near the poles is cold throughout the year. In fact, regions near the poles are the coldest on the earth. Altitude is another factor that controls the climate of a place. The higher one travels into the troposphere, the lower the temperature becomes. The rate at which the temperature drops is known as the lapse rate. On an average, the lapse rate of the troposphere is 3.6 degrees Celsius per 1000 feet or 6.5 degrees Celsius for every 1000 meters. This means that for every 1000 feet that one moves into the atmosphere, the average temperature drops by 3.6 degrees. The variations in air temperature also control the pressure and wind system of a place. Warm air has a tendency to rise, creating low-pressure areas, while cold air tends to sink, creating high-pressure areas. In order to equalize the difference in pressure, air moves quickly from high-pressure areas to low-pressure areas. As a result, winds blow outward from a high-pressure location towards lower pressures. The differences in air pressures near the equator and the poles are the main factors that influence global pressure and wind systems. Similarly, the altitude of a place also affects the pressure and wind system of a place. The distance of a place from the sea is another important factor that regulates the climate of a place. For example, the climate of Rajasthan and Kerala is different because Kerala is near the coast, while Rajasthan is a landlocked state. As compared to land, water responds slowly to temperature changes. It takes longer for water to get heated and to cool down. As a result, places near the sea experience mild temperature. They are neither too hot in summer nor too cold in winter. The sea has a moderating effect on the air temperature of land. As the distance from the sea increases, the moderating influence decreases. the weather conditions become extreme. Places further away from the sea generally have very hot summers and very cold winters. This condition is known as continentality. Another important control of climate is the circulation of water and air. The air in the atmosphere and the water in the oceans are in constant motion. These two motions distribute heat around the world in regular patterns. Warm air and water move towards the poles, while cool air and water move towards the equator. Coastal areas with warm or cold currents flowing past it get warmed or cooled if the winds are onshore. Another major control of climate is the relief of a place. Mountains often act as natural barriers for wind and moisture, affecting the climate of the areas around it. The side of a mountain facing the wind may have a very different climate from that on the other side. Vast mountain ranges can create a shadow on one side, which hardly receive any rainfall. The other side may receive heavy rainfall. India is strongly influenced by the monsoon winds. Monsoon refers to a season in which the wind system reverses completely. This phenomenon was first noticed in historic times by the sailors who came to India. The reversal of the wind system helped the sailors sail their boats due to the wind direction. The Arabs, who had also come to India as traders, named this seasonal reversal of the wind system monsoon. The monsoons are experienced in the tropical area, roughly between 20° north and 20° south. Various atmospheric conditions influence the monsoon winds. The first condition is the differential heating and cooling of land and water. This creates low pressure on the land mass of India, while high pressure is created over the seas around during daytime. This is reversed during the night time. The second condition is the shift in the position of Intertropical Convergence Zone, ITCZ. In summer, the equatorial trough that is normally positioned about 5° north of the equator moves over the Ganga plain. As a result, a monsoon trough is created during the monsoon season. The third condition is the presence of the high-pressure area that develops east of Madagascar. It is approximately at 20° south over the Indian Ocean. The intensity and position of this high-pressure area affects the Indian monsoon. The fourth condition develops during the summer. The Tibetan Plateau gets intensely heated, resulting in strong vertical air currents and high pressure over the plateau, about 9 km above sea level. The fifth condition develops during the summer due to the movement of the westerly jet streams to the north of the Himalayas and the presence of the tropical easterly jet stream over the Indian peninsula. Apart from these conditions, changes in pressure over the southern oceans also affect the monsoons. Normally, when the tropical eastern South Pacific Ocean experiences high pressure, the tropical eastern Indian Ocean experiences low pressure. However, in certain years, there is a reversal in the pressure conditions. As a result, Eastern Pacific has lower pressure in comparison to Eastern Indian Ocean. This periodic change in pressure conditions is known as the Southern Oscillation, or SO. The intensity of the monsoons can be predicted by computing the difference in pressure over Tahiti in the Pacific Ocean, 18 degrees south or 149 degrees west, and Darwin in northern Australia, in the Indian Ocean, 12 degrees 30 minutes south or 131 degrees east. Negative pressure differences would mean below average and late monsoons. The Southern Oscillation is connected to El Nino, which is a warm ocean current that flows past the Peruvian coast. It flows every 2 to 5 years in place of the cold Peruvian current. The phenomenon is therefore referred to as ENSO, El Nino Southern Oscillations. In India, the monsoon begins early in June and ends in mid-September. It lasts for 100 to 120 days. Before the monsoon winds enter the Indian subcontinent, they encounter various atmospheric conditions on their way over the warm tropical seas. As a result, these winds are pulsating in nature and not steady. Due to this, the monsoon arrives with a sudden downpour of rainfall that continues for several days. This is known as the burst of the monsoon and can be easily distinguished from the pre-monsoon showers. The monsoon arrives at the southern tip of the Indian peninsula, generally by the first week of June. The state of Kerala is the first to receive rainfall. Subsequently, it divides into two: the Arabian Sea branch and the Bay of Bengal branch. The Arabian Sea branch reaches Mumbai about 10 days later, on approximately the 10th of June. This is a fairly rapid advance. The Bay of Bengal branch also advances rapidly, and arrives in Assam in the first week of June. The lofty mountains cause the monsoon winds to deflect towards the west over the Ganga plains. By mid-June, the Arabian Sea branch of the monsoon reaches Saurashtra, Kutch, and the central part of the country. Over the northwestern part of the Ganga plains, the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal branches of the monsoon merge. The monsoon showers in Delhi are generally the gift of the Bay of Bengal branch. The monsoon reaches the capital by the end of June, tentatively by the 29th of June. By the first week of July, the monsoon reaches western Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, and eastern Rajasthan. By mid-July, Himachal Pradesh and the rest of the country also experience the monsoon. By early September, the monsoon starts to withdraw or retreat. Compared to the onset of the monsoon, the retreat is a more gradual process. The withdrawal of the monsoon begins in the northwestern states of India. By mid-October, it withdraws completely from the northern half of the peninsula. The withdrawal from the southern half of the peninsula is fairly rapid. By early December, the monsoon has withdrawn from the rest of the country. The islands receive the very first monsoon showers, progressively from south to north, from the first week of April to the first week of May. The withdrawal takes place progressively from north to south from the first week of December to the first week of January. This is the start of the winter season. The retreating monsoon winds move over the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal and collect moisture on the way. These monsoon winds reach the southern states of India by October and are responsible for a second round of rainfall. These are called the winter monsoons. The changes in the weather conditions in India can be broadly categorized into 4 distinct patterns. These are the cold weather season, the hot weather season, the advancing monsoon, and the retreating monsoon. India has cold weather in the winter that begins in mid-November and lasts till February. December and January are the coldest months in northern India. By contrast, the southern parts of India do not experience very low temperatures. On the eastern coast, the average winter temperatures are high as compared to the average temperatures in the northern plains. For example, in Chennai, the temperature during the winter ranges between 24 degrees Celsius and 25 degrees Celsius. On the other hand, in Jammu, the winter temperature may range between 26.2 degrees Celsius and 4.3 degrees Celsius. Frost is a common phenomenon in the North Plains, while the higher slopes of the Himalayas experience snowfall. During winter, the northeast trade winds blow over the country. As these winds blow from land to sea over most parts of India, they are dry. So, in most parts of India, the weather during the winter is dry. However, in some parts of India, like the coast of Tamil Nadu, the winds blow from the sea to the land. Hence, these places receive some amount of rainfall during the winter. In the northern parts of the country, a high-pressure region develops. As a result, light winds blow outwards from these parts, passing through the Ganga Valley from the west and the northwest. These parts normally experience low temperatures and low humidity, a clear sky, and feeble, variable winds. Other characteristic feature of the winter season experienced over the northern plains is the inflow of cyclonic disturbances from the west and the northwest. These low-pressure systems originate over the Mediterranean Sea and Western Asia. Along with the westerly flow, they move into India, causing much-needed winter rains over the plains and snowfall in the mountains. The winter rainfall is locally known as Mahavat. Though the total rainfall in winter is low, it is immensely important for the cultivation of the rabi crop. In the peninsular region of India, which is down south, the cold season is not as distinct as in the north. Due to the moderating influence of the sea, no drastic seasonal variations can be seen in the temperature pattern. The hot weather season in India refers to the summers that begin in March and lasts till mid-June. In India, summer is caused due to the apparent northward movement of the sun, which shifts the global heat belt northward. Its influence can be seen clearly from temperature recordings taken from March to May at different latitudes. In March, the highest temperature is about 38 degrees Celsius, recorded on the Deccan Plateau. In April, temperatures in Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh are around 42 degrees Celsius. In May, temperatures of 45 degrees Celsius are common in the northwestern parts of the country. In peninsular India, temperatures remain lower due to the moderating influence of the oceans. In the northern part of the country, during the summer months, a rise in temperature and a fall in air pressure can be experienced. Towards the end of May, an elongated low-pressure area develops in the region extending from the Thar Desert in the northwest to Patna and the Chota Nagpur Plateau in the east and southeast. Circulation of air begins to set in around this trough. Loo is a striking feature of the hot weather season. These are strong, gusty, hot, dry winds that blow during the day over north and northwestern India. These can sometimes even continue until late in the evening. Direct exposure to these winds can be fatal. In northern India, dust storms are also very common during the month of May. These storms bring temporary relief as they lower the temperature and may bring light rains and a cool breeze. This is also the season for localized thunderstorms associated with violent winds, torrential downpours, often accompanied by hail. In West Bengal, these storms are known as the Kal Baisakhi, which means calamity for the month of Baisakh. Towards the close of the summer season, pre-monsoon showers are common, especially in Kerala and Karnataka. Pre-monsoon showers are often referred to as mango showers, as they help in the early ripening of mangoes. The advancing monsoon in India refers to the rainy season that lasts for a period of 4 months from June to September. By early June, low-pressure conditions become intense over the northern plains. This attracts trade winds from the southern hemisphere, which originate over the warm subtropical areas of the southern oceans. They cross the equator and blow in a southwesterly direction as they enter the Indian peninsula. As these winds blow over warm oceans, they bring abundant moisture to the subcontinent. These winds are strong and blow at an average velocity of 30 kilometers per hour. Within about a month, the monsoon winds cover the entire country, with the exception of the extreme northwest. The southwest monsoon winds totally change the weather conditions in India. Let us see the effect of these winds on different parts of India. The windward side of the Western Ghats receives very heavy rainfall that can measure more than 250 centimeters. The Deccan Plateau and parts of Madhya Pradesh lie in the rain shadow area. However, they do receive some amount of rain. The northeastern parts of the country receive the most rainfall of this season. Moss syndrome in the southern ranges of the Khasi Hills, which is reputed for its stalagmite and stalactite caves, is the wettest place on the earth. It receives the highest average rainfall in the world. In the Ganga Valley, the rainfall decreases from the east to the west. Rajasthan and parts of Gujarat get scanty rainfall. Another phenomenon that is a characteristic feature of the monsoon is the breaks in rainfall. Breaks refer to the alternating wet and dry spells of rains. The monsoon rains take place only for a few days at a time and are interspersed with rainless intervals. These breaks occur due to the movement of the monsoon trough. The trough and its axis keep on moving northward or southward, causing the spatial distribution of rainfall. When the axis of the monsoon trough lies over the plains, rainfall is good in these parts. Whenever the axis shifts closer to the Himalayas, longer dry spells are experienced in the plains, and widespread rains occur in the mountainous catchment areas of the Himalayan rivers. These heavy rains cause devastating floods that damage life and property in the plains. The amount and duration of monsoon rains also depend on the frequency and intensity of tropical depressions. These depressions form at the head of the Bay of Bengal and cross over to the mainland. The depressions follow the axis of the monsoon trough of low pressure. The Indian monsoon is very unpredictable. It is characterized by alternating dry and wet spells that can vary in intensity, frequency, and duration. It can cause heavy floods in one part of the country and droughts in another. It is often irregular in its arrival and its retreat. The farming schedule of millions of farmers all over the country, which is dependent on the monsoons, can sometimes get disturbed. The retreating monsoon refers to the transition season that lasts from October to December. As the name suggests, the months of October, November form a period of transition from the hot, rainy season to dry winter conditions. The main cause of this transition is the apparent movement of the sun towards the south. The monsoon trough, which is the low-pressure trough that had developed over the northern plains, weakens. A high-pressure system gradually sets in, causing the southwest monsoon winds to weaken. As a result, the monsoon winds start withdrawing gradually. By the beginning of October, the monsoon withdraws from the northern plains. The retreating monsoon season is marked by clear skies and a rise in the temperatures. The temperatures during the day are high. However, the nights are cool and pleasant. Since the land is still moist, the weather becomes hot and humid. The days can become quite oppressive. This is commonly known as October heat. In the second half of October, the mercury begins to fall rapidly in northern India. By early November, tropical cyclonic depressions, which originate over the Andaman Sea, cross the eastern coasts of India and reach northwestern India. This causes the low-pressure conditions to shift from northwestern India to the Bay of Bengal. These tropical cyclones cause heavy and widespread rains and are often very destructive. They also cause great damage to life and property in the thickly populated deltas of the Godavari, the Krishna and the Kaveri. These cyclones sometimes arrive at the coasts of Orissa, West Bengal and Bangladesh. These depressions and cyclones bring rainfall to the Coromandel coast. Due to the unpredictable nature of the monsoon, the distribution of rainfall varies drastically from region to region. The western coast and northeastern India receive over about 400 centimeters of rainfall annually. Western Rajasthan and the adjoining parts of Gujarat, Haryana and Punjab receive rainfall of less than 60 centimeters. Rainfall is equally low in the interior of the Deccan Plateau, east of the Sahyadris, and around Leh in Jammu and Kashmir. The remaining parts of India receive moderate rainfall. Snowfall is restricted to the Himalayan region. Major variations can also be seen in the annual precipitation from year to year. The annual rainfall varies the most in the low rainfall regions of Rajasthan, Gujarat, and the leeward side of the Western Ghats. Areas of high rainfall are liable to be affected by floods, whereas areas of low rainfall are drought-prone. In spite of its uncertainties, the monsoon acts as a unifying bond on the Indian subcontinent. The rhythmic cycle of seasons results from the seasonal alteration of the wind systems and the associated weather conditions of monsoon. The phenomenon of monsoon is an integral part of the Indian landscape. Animal and plant life, agriculture calendar, and the life of the people and their festivities. Every year, the arrival of the monsoon is eagerly awaited by the people of India from the north to the south and from the east to the west. The monsoon winds bind the whole country by providing water to set agricultural activities in motion. The river valleys that carry this water are also a unifying force as a single river valley unit.